this from Luke? What? Grogu?
There we go. That's enough of that. Hello, everybody. We have arrived at the rare Star Wars trailer day. Those things are few and far between these days. Goodness gracious. You know, I started with this because it just makes me really wish this is what we were waiting on. In theaters right now, you know, say we had a whole season of Din and Grogu apart, each on their own journeys, each becoming their own characters. And we get the sense that at the end, they're going to reunite. But boom! Cliffhanger. And then we're waiting for that in this movie. We're anticipating that in this movie. Do you know how much hype there would be at that point? If you would have had a whole season of Grogu and Luke, maybe a little more forethought, tying it into Ahsoka, to the coming Heir to the Empire film, leading up to that. Or you know what? Why not have this movie be, you know, if say they do reunite at the end of season 3, then have this movie be about finding Keller and Beck, finding a lead, he's still alive, and wanting to know more about Grogu's past, who brought him to the Jedi Order, who, you know, really took care of him there. That would have been cool. But instead, we're going to focus on Rot of the Hutt, and I'm gonna cover some of the leaks and spoilers that have been out there. So I will warn you before I go into anything like that, for people who want to go into the movie clean of anything but the officially released content. So I hate spoilers for people who don't like them, so I will definitely give you a heads up. And on that note, here's the unreleased trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu that we saw at Star Wars Celebration. So, oh, wow, that's crappy. What a video player. So this is like a phone recording. I need to turn that audio off just because I don't know what's going to play. I thought it would be good to revisit this first trailer, before diving into the new one, so we can kind of compare. Did anything change? What differences did they show? That kind of thing. You know, here's a big note. Isn't the Phantom Menace hated for being overly stupid, corny, and childish, and now they're going to do the same thing again? It is criticized for those things, for sure. I would say overly criticized for those things, in my opinion. But yeah, they're doubling. We'll cover a lot of that later as we go through some of the new shots. But let's reflect upon the initial trailer. Okay, you're getting the alarm. Whew! 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 Bzzz. Okay, he goes through this giant fight scene. Is this gonna get my channel banned? I don't know. Let me skip. So he goes through this giant battle scene. Let's zoom in like crazy on this one. Okay, I wasn't a fan of the choreography here whatsoever. It looks really unrealistic. And as you know from my series, I like realistic, fast-paced, real attack action, not this like super choreographed Like, I'm going to wait for you to shoot, then I'm going to shoot, then I'm going to rush in and get knifed, then the next guy rushes in so Din can do a 360 blaster, blah, blah, blah. This whole thing is that, like, extremely scripted combat, and I hope in the movie they use another take, but probably not. So then you cut to that guy, and he's like, oh no! Okay, boom. So this is in the new trailer as well. I believe this is the shot where they're flying into the U-wing in the new trailer. Same thing here. I had the initial critique of this section that this CGI looks really bad. I just thought, oh, it's not finished, obviously. Like, it's a celebration teaser that's not even going on their channels. But they didn't touch this up at all, so now I'm getting worried about the VFX budget. Which this movie has a very, very, very low production budget comparatively for other Star Wars projects. I think officially it's being documented at like 170 million. So in reality, probably double that. But even that, in the 300 million range, you know, high twos, low threes is probably all they gave it, and that's low for a Star Wars movie. Especially like your first return in what will it be 6 years. That's pretty unacceptable. I mean, you had 6 years to make money to fund your next movie, and well, I mean, we know how their money making went. So, same shot here, same thing. It falls down. Now, what I like about this initial one more, let me play this audio.
Very messy.
Okay, so you get some of the similar clip. I can't. What does she say here?
Very messy.
Very messy. Okay, so what I'm expecting from this movie, and compared with this one, we don't get as much of that snow planet footage. You just get the extended AT-AT falling. What I'm expecting is almost like a cold open, where they are just like almost immediately, if not like already halfway through this mission as it starts. I think this is the opening scene. What's up, me, Miss Marv? Welcome, welcome. How about that Amani Love? I can't wait to go over that. Best part of the trailer. So I'm expecting this is going to be like a cold open, showing okay, Din and Grogu are doing the work with the New Republic. And that's why you instantly cut to her saying, very messy. Okay, then you do this little gag. I'm going to cover that later. She grabs it, because we get just a couple second or two more of this in the other trailer. Other than this very messy line, that's not in there. Some shots of the Razor Crest. We've known that thing's coming back somehow, some way. Let me hear this dialogue.
Right now, you work for us.
Right now, you work for us. Okay, so I think Sigourney's playing this, like, no-nonsense rebel officer in command of a Delphi base. I think, like, Carson Teva is going to be, like, underneath her as a pilot. She's kind of like the military commander of this region, of these forces. So she's kind of this no-nonsense thing. We'll see how it works, if she's like in on keeping Din and Grogu under the radar. If you remember from the Mandalorian season 3, yeah, that was a crazy coincidence. It's like a day later, the first Amani since 1984. So in this scene, Din tells him, like, Carson's like, hey, this will never get approved. You like working for the New Republic, taking bounty jobs for us. And Din says, that's why you're not going to tell him. And he's like, oh, all right, maybe. It's like, I'll think about it. Then, he says, you already have. And he walks away. That's how this ends. So it's either like Sigourney's character is in on this, and now the info's at a higher level, and she's still keeping it under the radar, I guess, from her higher ups. Which I think almost kind of defeats the purpose of this whole scene. Or they're just going to, like, totally ignore this scene and now it's approved for the New Republic. Either one, I'm not too fond of. You know, there could certainly be some alternate things going on here that I'm not predicting, but that's what I see right now. So we're back here in the Razor Crest, it looks like.
You work for us.
You work for us. Okay, this has to be part of this hut plot. You know, there's not nearly enough detail here to tell what planet this is, other than it's a junky, scrappy type of area. They immediately go in, they see destroyed droids and stuff. Okay, poof, we're in a cantina, but I think that tracks pretty well with this scene in the new trailer. Junky droids, underground hut, gladiator ring. So I think this is like the mission they get after this cold open to take out some Imperial base or something. Now we're on the mission to rescue Rod of the Hutt. Okay, I haven't put together what this like cantina section is yet. Don't have much feedback on that. I don't think we saw anything in the new trailer about this. Might be wrong. This recycled, we see Grogu swimming. We actually get a little more of Grogu swimming. And then this was unique. They've been kind of promoting this ATRT. So if you'll see here, there are 3 AT-ATs. 1, 2, 3. So I assume this is how they climb down and get inside the AT-AT to then like blow it up from the inside or something. What does he say here?
I am Din Djarin.
I am Din Djarin. Okay. Yep. Yes, indeed you are. Mouse droid, Grogu crashes it and then takes a piece and like throws it off the cliff. And then some more Grogu eating. And then you get the Rada. So that we saw that clip too. That's why our Din says very impressive, and then Grogu eats. Man, okay. So that's the initial. That was the initial trailer. I think this one we just watched here is better than the new one, by quite a long shot. You get some narrative direction here without terrible spoilers. This was just a much better trailer all around. Even though I don't like this choreography at all, the concept is cool to show like 35, 40 seconds of a real scene. You know, I wish it would have looked great. And then you get some narrative direction with all that. So there we are. That's the old trailer. What's the new one? All right. We got the Razor Crest again with racing stripes on it. Let me catch up on a couple chats just in case we have comments on the old one. Prisms thinks this film really needs to be delayed and reshot. If they wanted to earn money, please just delay or tax write it off as a Mando season 4. I think they went this route with this movie because it's cheaper than making a whole season, and I think they already, you know, probably had some of the pre-production done for what they were going to do in season 4, and they just condensed. They say, oh, hey, you know, a cheap, simple, schlocky movie is going to be easier to make and cheaper to make than a whole season. So let's cram this thing in. Let's cut this down to 2 hours and just chuck it in theaters and be done with The Mandalorian until Heir to the Empire. That's what I expect. So, okay, new Razor Crest. It, you know, the old one had like some of those yellow markers on the side that were like really faded. So I am going to make the prediction that Din's been doing pretty well with these New Republic contracts. We'll pick up in the movie with that cold open, maybe after he's done a couple of them already, like in between movies. And maybe we'll see him buy the Razor Crest. You know, I could see them doing that, like him getting some money or getting offered payment, and he's like, no, just give me a Razor Crest. Okay, I liked this ship. I don't think they should have destroyed it. But then I just started to like the N1. Yes, it was very impractical for a bounty hunter to just fly around in an N1. But, I don't know, you marketed that for a year now. and then we're just right back to the Razor Crest. I mean, I would have honestly rather seen him get a brand new ship than the Razor Crest again. Seeing it shiny and striped out is just like, I don't like that reversion back to the old. But alas, here we are. The Razor Crest is recognizable, and Disney wants to sell it. So this thing is flying. It looks like it's flying very slowly. I get you're on a landing approach. Speed that animation up. That is too slow. This one was weird because it looks like they combined two different shots into one. Oh yeah, sorry, chats. As far, will this movie make money? I think so. I'm gonna predict maybe like, I would predict it will end up falling in the $450 to $550 million box office range, and you know, I think the budget will come around $350 million. So I think it'll make a little bit of money. I would be surprised if it got in, very surprised if it got into the $600 million range. I think it'll live mid fives, just because it's Star Wars, just because I don't know the May movie release schedule, but just movies in general have been kind of disappointing lately. People are gonna give it a shot just because it's the first Star Wars in 6 years. It's not gonna like spread word of mouth. Oh, this thing's great, you gotta go see it. You're gonna have your people come in who are gonna watch any Star Wars movie basically, and there is a chance this like crashes and burns and gets, you know, high 300s, low 400 million box office. I could see a world where that happens if it's getting really bad reviews, but I would expect it to just cross over 5. I also hate the argument they are trying to take time to learn. This is a post Rise of Skywalker film absence delay, but nope, they thought, yeah, this, I don't know. This just feels like recycled content, just through and through. That they were just like, man, we just got to make it. What's the cheapest way we can make it? Yeah, throw it in theaters. I'm shocked they're bringing the Razor Crest back, especially since they made it a big deal to find another one. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're undoing a lot of the plot. We say, hopefully the planet Raya the Hutt is on Nar Shaddaa. Nar Shaddaa. I don't think that looks like Nar Shaddaa from these type of tunnels and stuff, and from that other, this. Like, that looks like leaves. It could be some, like, netting, but you've got, like, a golden hue. Maybe it's Nal Hutta. I think that would be cool. I have no idea what the planet Nal Hutta is doing at this point in the timeline in Disney World, but like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it right here. Like, okay, we're going down into the sewer type of thing. Nal Hutta would be great. Might be a little too obvious for the plot, but look at that boy. That's a big boy. Now, Hutta is great in the Old Republic. Highly recommend checking out that planet in that game. Okay. Is there a chance that the movie could be fan-edited to take place between seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian? I'm open to the possibility, yes. I mean, you're going to run into struggles with just, like, basic art design stuff. The Razor Crest would look different. Grogu's wearing his, like, little Mando armor chest piece. I'd have to look at Din's armor closer to see if he has any differences there. But as far as the Way of Mandalore goes, yes, I'm very open to just chopping this movie up and putting scenes in other places if that will work best. I really can't say, obviously, until I see it. But yeah, it was like how, conclusive I have made mine feel, my ending to my saga, and kind of brought all the plot points together. You get Grogu becoming the Mandalorian, you get everybody back on Mandalore. It's just like, that feels like a conclusion until, like, an appearance of some characters in the Heir to the Empire movie or something. So it's just like, I don't know, this just feels like such a descent from plot importance, or just like pointless. So half of me is just like, man, well, I'm going to have a book 7 that's just going to feel pointless. That's like the opposite of what my saga was about. So yes, Hardwick, I would rather this movie, be something I could place elsewhere in my saga. That would be really great. I don't see it happening, but it's possible. I'm definitely going to look at it. I've had those thoughts too. Like, what the heck am I going to do with this? How much can I chop it up? Can I move it anywhere else? We shall see. We shall see. So, a couple more chats. The official poster shows the twin huts from Book of Boba Fett. Yep, I'll talk about that later when I cover that. Can take bad choreography over a stupid, cheesy script. Yeah, I can fix bad choreography easier than a stupid, cheesy script, so I agree. I heard a rumor that they want to make it a trilogy, so I hope as this makes money, then they give a big budget to the sequel and third, or it bombs, they reboot everything and cancel the crap slate. I have not heard that rumor, and I would find that highly improbable. I think they've kind of announced their other plans for the future of Star Wars, which seem to revolve, unfortunately, around the post-Rise of Skywalker era, which I just think is a bad idea. Man, yeah. I'm much more excited about the post-Episode 6 stuff, like the Heir to the Empire thing. I think they're going to tie in Maul Shadow Lord into that. And start to build up Talon as a villain, maybe, joining Baylan Skoll, looking for Abeloth. I think there's some potential in that storyline. I think Filoni would actually give us like a deep fake version of Luke, Han, and Leia together in that era, at least for a scene. I do have a lot of hope for that movie. Very curious what tweet of mine you're showing. I'll show it soon. It's not of yours, it's just one you sent of somebody else. Every time there's a new Mando thing, I get the hope that there will be Mandoa. I doubt it, though. Yeah, I especially this movie, which seems to have virtually no Mandalorian lore. Not even advertised in the slightest. Yeah, that's looking more bleak than ever, my friend. Have you heard of the new free voice cloning programs like Vibe Voice and Vox CPM? I've been trying them out in Pinocchio. Vibe Voice is especially impressive so far. I have not. Are they better than 11 Labs? I could look into them. 11 Labs has done very well for what I've needed, so I haven't really looked at a lot of alternatives. But I'm open to better ones being out there that I could use. If you've compared, let me know if it's better than 11. Post 9 is a good idea because, everything before leads to 7, 8, and 9. If you go post 9, you have Uncharted timeline. You'd have to. I think you would need to go way into the future if you want to do like hundreds of years later and do a Yuzhen Vong storyline, maybe. But they're keeping it in like the era with Rey and with the impacts of the sequel trilogy, and that's just why you're taking, whether you like the sequel trilogy or not, it is like the most divisive thing about Star Wars currently, and just to like double down on that, I just don't see that working out unless you plan to fix Luke somehow and somebody wakes up from a dream and it starts over. You can go anywhere if you go further, but if you go back, you're trapped. No, you go way back to the Old Republic, and you got freedom to make 30, 40 years of productions from Old Republic stuff. Just pretend like the sequels don't exist. Alright. Let's continue this trailer. Starfighter's place 5 years after Rise of Skywalker. Okay, so this one's weird because Grogu puts that, which could possibly be like a detached rifle scope, or it could just be his own personal monocular. But then they instantly cut to binoculars. So what I'm assuming is we're going to get a gag. Din is holding binoculars. This looks very reminiscent of The Mandalorian season 2. Is it 2? 1? 1. The rookie episode where they're like on the dunes they're like trying to find Fennec. And it's like Mando here, and this is the rookie. So I think they're doing a callback to that scene. It's like the same exact thing, hiding under here, peeking out with binos, ducking back down. So I'm anticipating, I'm calling it right now. Somebody owes me money. Din's going to pull up his binos. We're going to do this thing. Okay, we're going to see, oh, Imperial's up ahead. Then there's going to be a little pause. You know, Din puts his thing down. Then Grogu pulls his out of his pocket and peeks through it. And it's supposed to be like a ha 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 aw. Maybe he'll like zoom in on food or something. I don't know. Like he'll look at something stupid or just try to copy Din. And they'll want it to be a little gag moment. I'm calling it right now. It seems like there's going to be a lot of Marvel moments in this movie, which I am kind of dreading. If Kennedy's gone, someone can fix Rey and the other characters. No. My opinion is just no. She's unfixable based on the arc you already gave her. I have just no interest in ever seeing anything to do with those again. I don't think there's any point to doing that. There's no fixing to be had with her. She's too powerful. I mean, she 1v1's Palpatine. What, now she's going to be fighting like a remnant Sith who's going to challenge her or something? I don't know. She's the most powerful character ever in Star Wars. Ever. I mean, she's at like Darth Vitiate levels of power by the end of Episode 9, where 1 year prior she didn't even know what the Force was. She didn't know it was real. Okay, there's no fixing that. You've destroyed the lore of all of Star Wars. You've destroyed the concept of balance, I think, with that final fight. What they did with like the I am all the Sith, well, I am all the Jedi. Boom. That was dumb. It's just ridiculous all around. I like the Duel of the Fates plot much better, where she got like her eyes cut out. And then she was kind of just like a consular at the new Jedi Temple, almost. I would have loved to see what Colin Trevorrow would have done with Episode 8. I think he would have done a great job if he could have had 8 and 9 together. And I liked 7. I didn't think it was great, but I was just like, it's like a 6.5 out of 10. There's potential for a trilogy to be good and to really nail it in the sequels, and they just did the exact opposite. Excuse me, but prequels fixed Anakin? What do you mean fixed him? The prequels, like, made Anakin. So you've got Babu Frick thing, the Anzellan creeping around these sewers, which is, I anticipate, when they're looking for Rada the Hutt. Grogu is wearing his little chest armor thing, which I'm very glad, because they forgot about it in the rest of Season 3. At least they're bringing it back now. That's nice. Do I think they're overusing this little thing? Yes. Do I think they're going to do 10 too many jokes between this thing and Grogu? No, I don't. I think they're going to do like 30 too many jokes between Grogu and that thing. Okay, black cut. I don't know. They're acting like that's a big tense moment. Dun, fade to black. This part is really weird. So this is that same scene. So we're getting it from a new camera angle here. And Sigourney Weaver's looking at an iPad with some holographic information on it. The graphic here looks like classic Star Wars. I like that. That looks good. This is weird because Din obviously says something here that they don't... There's been no words. We're 24 seconds into the trailer and there's no words. Din walks up and you can tell he says something that she looks up to listen to, but they don't include that dialogue. Grogu peeks up. Din is obviously talking here. It's the first thing that stuck out to me because I have seen so much Mandalorian Season 3 where Din is wiggling his head and they just deleted his dialogue. So he is saying something there that they also cut out. I think from this camera angle, this pretty clearly shows it's a Delphi base. So I think this is that, like, the conversation from this one where she's, like, looking at his performance and says very messy. I know the lighting's really different in here. I wouldn't look into that much because they could have color graded this whole thing. And she's got the iPad, the cup's right there at the fruit bowl's in the middle. So I think she's reviewing his AT-AT performance, saying very messy. Just being disapproving, stern. Grogu's not paying attention. Here we go. We're going to get Grogu food gag number 6,000. She's annoyed at them. There's like a tense relationship, like, oh, you guys are the rogues. You're not following regulations. You're not doing things clean. Da-na-na-na-na, but we kind of need you. So how about you go do this dirty job for us? That's kind of the vibe I get back and forth between this from no dialogue at all. But yeah, I do think the color grading is very interesting, how different that looks. But look how weird Grogu looks here. This is like, it's like they almost just super saturated it. And then this looks like the actual color grade of the movie. But yeah, I think that's the same scene. And I suppose, where's the like the cantina fight? Like it almost looks like, I can't tell if, like, that's not a Delphi. That is something else. And that's something else too. Okay, so they're going to go to a different cantina, it looks like. Okay, there's a chance. Where did that go? There's a chance that could be a Delphi, I guess. I don't think so. No, because a Delphi is not going to be stocked with those kind of drinks. This is a different cantina. Because look how behind the bar looks there. It doesn't have like the glasses on the shelves like that. So that's what I expect. Boom, Lucasfilm. Cool. Okay, oh, and here we are at this cantina again. So, oh, maybe this is what you were saying was Nar Shaddaa. This could very well be Nar Shaddaa, yes. I think somebody flipped this and translated it already, and I saw it is referring to the Galactic Starfighter Hotel that Disney made. It says, like, travel on the Halcyon or something. So, there you go. The failed hotel. I think it would have been really funny if they would have put in a joke like Halcyon Star Cruiser closed or something. That would have been funny, but I guess Disney's not into the self-depreciating humor. Sure, I'm sending a text. Done. So, okay. Nar Shaddaa. Yeah, absolutely. This might be that. So we get the kick. That's the same shot as the other one. So this is the same. Yeah, absolutely not a Delphi. This is on that planet. Not sure what this plot is about. I'm trying to see what species he kicks. This thing's like hunched over. You can't see a face at all. There's people hiding. I have no idea what that is. You got a little, what are those called? Iktachis? Am I saying that right? It's the Sacy Tin. Iktaki. Oh my, I've searched a Naruto character. What is that thing? Okay, I spelled it wrong. Iktachi. Add in the self-depreciating humor joke if you edit one. I mean, if there's like a vocal reference to this, I could change it. I'm not gonna go in and edit the text upside down in Arabesh and do the VFX to do that. Nobody on earth who watches my edits is gonna analyze them that deeply. They'll analyze Disney stuff. Fun idea. Okay, Grogu jumps on. I can't tell if that's like a Koiken monkey lizard up there again. Grogu jumps on the shoulder like a parrot. You get a sick shot of the Amani. Best part of the trailer, without a doubt. Absolutely. Watch my last stream or two if you want to hear about the Amani, because we just covered them in depth like a day before this trailer came out, which is hilarious because this is quite an obscure Star Wars race. Do you think they might do some reshoots with the Backlash, maybe to tone down the humor or to fix the choreography? It's not due till May. Probably won't be locked till late April. I'm sure there will be some reshoots. Will it be to drastically alter this film? I don't think so. I don't think they want to spend the money on more reshoots. I think they're just saying, yeah, that this is what it is. We just want something that's not super hateable out there. So just chuck it. I think they want to keep this production as cheap as possible. So I wouldn't expect major reshoots aside from normal stuff. But yes, the movie is 8 months away from today, which is pretty far, honestly. So, stuff will be tinkered with for quite a while. Amani, Grogu smashes buttons. Ding, ding, ding. I was wondering in this if, like, it cuts so fast, but it didn't look entirely random. So I think it's almost like Grogu acting as a co-pilot. Which I think they're doing a good job of showing Grogu has, like, matured from, like, what, a 2-year-old baby to maybe, like, a 4-year-old baby or something, a 3-year-old baby. Have they said, like, what year this one is set in? How many years after? I would imagine it can't be more than probably 2 years tops after the end of season 3. That's what I would guess. Looking at the reflections on this, I can't really tell what's going on here. That could be like this, like reflections of this area, I suppose, or it could be a planet we haven't seen yet. You maybe get some hints of green up there, so I would assume this is just Adelphi. They're just taking off from Adelphi. At some point, he is going to have a dogfight. This is just a very generic blue sky. Guess it could be anywhere. Could be this now Hutta planet or whatever. I don't think it's going to be that dark Nar Shaddaa planet. There's also, I guess, a chance this could be set on Adelphi. It gets attacked or something. So you've got, like, Grogu kind of panicked here at first. He's going to fall into water, and then he's going to swim. Good old Zeb. I think that this is a very short clip, but I think it looks pretty great. I'm very happy with that one. Everything about that, even down to the helmet crack on the strike, is very well done. The effects right here look good, and that looks like a Zeb move. Yeah, that looks cool. That's, like, realistic for how his species fights. Looks good. And this is the type, like, just this crack is the type of stuff that, like season 3 was missing for sure. That shot before the bar fight of Mando's foot in the pond is cool. That's correct. Yeah, that one looks great. The lighting, everything about that one is great. So this is directed by Favreau. Like, Filoni's name is on it. Kathleen Kennedy's name is on it. But it's primarily Favreau. So boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Grogu riding in like a mini speeder bike. Now this might be that other planet that we saw in Din's armor reflection. I don't know what this is. This could be that same like gladiator planet, the Now Hutta type of thing. I think we are missing a big portion of the plot still, which I will get to later. It's spoilers, so I don't want to just jump into saying it. But I think they're concealing a large chunk of the plot from us, which is fine. Okay, flying into a U-Wing, New Republic U-Wing. I mean, I think it's like the same thing we saw in Rogue One, just painted, restored. I think in the trailer we got the other, like a front angle of Din flying with Grogu here, so I think that's the same shot. It's them getting extracted from a mission. This could very well be the AT-AT planet. In fact, I am extremely confident it is. So I think this is your cold open. They rush down in the AT-RT. They get in there. Boom. They blow up a thing. I'm sure something else will trip on it and fall over also or something. They destroyed the convoy or whatever they needed to do here on a hit-and-run mission. See, this... Like, that almost looks like a Delphi also. It could be something else. This doesn't look like a Delphi. So that's why I say we're missing a big chunk of what's going to happen here, I think. But yeah, this looks like the extraction from that initial attack. Okay, then we cut to a shot of... Oh, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, over 50 humans cheering. Don't like that. Where my aliens at? Are we watching Andor again? What's going on here? Not a single alien amongst them. Not my favorite. Don't like that at all. Low production budget is what that says. In this type of underground gladiator type of thing, absolutely you need that thing to be packed with aliens. And, you know, you're doing the toothpicks or CGI for this. Come on, get one shot of some costumed people cheering. I'm sure there will be some, they'll show like one or two, but look, it's all humans. Unless they're going to explain why this is like a human-only gladiator ring, come on. I mean, in a way, it'll tie us over till the meat of Starfighter and A New Hope re-release. I think Starfighter will be a much better movie than this one. I am just not interested in one-off, spin-off movies. I want a saga. I want to care about an epic again. So, like, okay, say Starfighter's a 7 or 8 out of 10 movie. You know, what does that do for Star Wars? I don't think it, like, is going to heal the rift. And that's primarily what I want from Disney, is to heal that rift you caused. Yeah, we can unite around liking one movie if it's great. But what are you doing for the overall narrative of the Star Wars universe that you've, like, screwed up? There's been a lot of, like, speculation recently that Ryan Gosling is going to be Cade Skywalker, and that he's going to be, like, a long-lost son of Luke. I don't want that. I hate when they take some small thing from the EU and then just make it worse. If you're going to do Cade Skywalker, start over and do it right. Don't just bastardize the name and and take it and do your own thing with them again because you think you can win some points. I'd rather you never touch an EU character again than take one and do them wrong. I mean, like, Luke Skywalker is dead. But you can't have Luke Skywalker just, like, dead during this type of Cade thing. Crazy. I think Disney's too chicken to do that. I do think Mara Jade will make an appearance probably in the Heir of the Empire movie, though. I think Dave is going to take a very EU-inspired approach, which... I don't know. Like I said, I'd rather not like see snippets and pieces of the EU just sprinkled around. Just do it or don't do it. Pick a team. Is the plot good or terrible? Oh, the leak plot. We'll get to that soon. I don't like it. I think it's kind of lame. Right, I don't think Starfighter will be too much. I think this will be more of a comedy than Starfighter. Okay, so here we are again, back in that underground thing. You know, looking at these robots, I don't like them. Doesn't really look like Star Wars at all. I get they're like scrap assembled stuff. Like, none of them are standardized. I'd rather, you know, if this is like an underground Hutt gladiator ring, I'd rather them just have, you know, use an old, clean droid design or make a new droid design. You know, I'm not like freaking out over this. I just don't like them. I don't think they look like Star Wars. Okay, so Din runs to the other side. He pulls out his rifle, which apparently he will be using again this season. So he's back to Season 1 everything. Back to Razor Crest, back to rifle. We are reverting, which is one of my worst trends in sequels and such, is just reverting back to the old, because, you know, people liked the old and then you messed up the new. So, hey, why don't we just go back to what people used to like of the same thing? Don't like anything about that. The Incredibles 2 is one of the worst examples of that. This, second best part of the trailer. This shot right here. So, it looks like Din is going to get involved in this gladiator ring, I assume to rescue Rada or to challenge Rada and then escape with him or something. Rada is the Hutt from the Clone Wars, the big jacked one. Why do I like this shot so much? This creature right here is none other than a Mantelian Savrip. What's a Mantelian Savrip, you say? Well, they've got quite a bit of lore. Yes, they're the Dejaric piece. Look at that. See that design? 3 fingers, tiny little horn thing. Rah, longish neck. There you go. That's the same thing. There's the hand. So we got the little Dejaric character. They were in the Old Republic. You know, there were like different breeds of them. So these are like the island Savrips. So they look a little different depending on where they were located. They come from the planet Ord Mantell. They're like a sentient species, but they're really dumb. Think like your classic hill troll from fantasy. You know, like a big troll, a bridge troll, a rock troll, a hill troll. Like, okay, yeah, they're sentient, but they have like a 40 IQ. So that's kind of what this species is, and they're just like brawlers and savages, kind of. If you want to see more of Mantelian Savrips, play the Old Republic. Mostly on there. They're in this comic, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, from the year 2000. Yes, they are the Dejaric pieces, just because they're known as like brawlers and stuff. Yeah, and then they're in this comic, the Legacy comic. Not prominent. They're not like... They've been featured in like a few comics like this. And so yeah, it's just a brawler species. I think it looks solid here. I mean, I'm very happy with like the lighting on that. Looks really good. The eyeball looks great there. So for a CGI monster in a low budget film, I'm fine with that. You can tell it's CGI obviously, but it's got like a rough, almost practical texture. So I think it's good. Big Mantalian Savrip guy here. What's up, Hunklahoma? Air needs to star Luke, not as a side and with a real actor. Yeah, I think they're going to give Luke's storyline to Ahsoka. And Luke will just get a cameo or two. But I agree. I absolutely agree. Man, they went heavy into the this is the way marketing here. I mean, it's popping up all over your screen. This is the way. It's featured on the trailer. It's featured on the top of the announcement post. I mean, people were saying that was like way overused in The Mandalorian season 3, and it was. They say it so much, and now they're just like, do it more. So here's after they blow up the AT-AT. Boom, they fly out. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the extraction. Din jetpacks out. He gets picked up by the U-Wing. There's your cold oven. Cut to Adelphi base. Very messy. Let's talk about something. Maybe that's when he gets the Razor Crest. I don't know. So, explosion here looks good. That looks really strong. I'm confused. See, this is why I'm saying people are conflating the wrong things here. Because this thing gets blown to pieces. This one is just like, look, its foot is off. So this is something else entirely. That's why I'm saying, like, I think the one they destroyed is like the last one. So I assume Din is going to like run through with an ATRT, throw some bombs on the foot. Boom. I don't know where Din is here. So I haven't entirely put it together. But that's not the same AT-AT. Everyone's like, oh, it looks so cool when it explodes and then falls. Guys, did you not see the side of this thing just explode into a million pieces? Does that look like the side is exploded into a million pieces? So I think people are just they're conflating events here. And even like that side is open. This one is closed. So yeah, anyways, that's not the same AT-AT. So I think he's gonna destroy like all of them. There's 3 shown. I think they're gonna go like 1, 2, 3, blow up, blow up, blow up, boom. Then he gets picked up. Very messy for whatever reason. Sigourney doesn't like it. And so it falls. This looks awful. I mean, this is the same exact shot they used from the Celebration trailer. That looks so unfinished. I mean, that looks like a pre-render right here of this head. There is no lighting. There's no shading at all on this model. You've got, like, the snow perfectly caked into all the lines with no lighting difference. Yeah, so I say, just, you know, they did enough CGI to do that. That's very basic CGI. Even just the movement on like the head crashing, it doesn't look realistic. It looks very CGI heavy. So look, there's the foot. There's the foot off. That's how they destroy the back one. Then they go and destroy the other ones. Okay, he falls, and did I just? Yeah, I don't know where Din and Grogu are here. I am scanning the screen. I don't see them anywhere. Maybe they're like already in the next one. So not entirely sure the sequence of events, but I think that's they probably go like back, middle, front. So that's going to be the one that explodes. And that they fly out of the head. This shot was the first thing I noticed as well. Very poor. A lot of good looking stuff. Otherwise, though, colors look a little better than most recent Star Wars stuff. Yeah, it seems like there is at least... It's hard to tell on a trailer because they color grade the trailers different than the film a lot of times. But even like... There's some diversification, and it doesn't just all have that, like... This has that, like, brown-gray color filter that Disney loves. But, you know, shots like this... it does still have that, like, brown-gray haze over a lot of it. Disney just cannot get away from that. I don't get it. But there's more diversification in the environments and such. So, yeah, this shot looks awful. Sorry, I'm trying to notice anything if I can figure out where Din and Grogu are. I have to assume they're already in the next one by the time that thing falls over. Okay, it falls off. And then this one, like, threw me off when I saw this logo pop up. Really bad frame rate on the logo. Like, do you see that, how jerky that is? That, like, actually hurts my eyes to look at. Like, you literally just rendered the background and the logo at the wrong frame rates together. So what they probably did, they have just a background that's at one frame rate. And then the logo is just on a blank background, and they just chucked it on top of that one. And it's not smooth at all. Unless this is just like a YouTube playback thing, but that looks terrible. This was weird. Forged for IMAX. Okay. And then you get, of course, a classic Disney comedy bit to end a trailer. They are addicted to doing that. Show the logo, show a tagline, one last ha 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 ha, oh, we got him in the eye! May 26th. So, that's the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. The official Star Wars trailer. And the first 12 hours, it's at 3.5 million views, which is terrible. That's quite bad for a Star Wars trailer. I get it's the first day, but this thing did not pop off today. How many, like, I want to see, how many did the Solo trailer end up with? Let's look at, like, the worst performance. They debuted the Solo trailer, like, during the Super Bowl or something. It was during some NFL game. So that ended up, I mean, 7 years later with 20 million views. Not great. I mean, compared to, like, you can't really compare Force Awakens, but that had 111. Rogue One, 46 million on Rogue One. 58 on The Last Jedi. And 51 on The Rise of Skywalker. So all of those track. Like I said, you can't really compare the main saga ones to the spin-off movies too well, but yeah, the stuff is real. I mean, like, the difference between Rogue One getting 46 and Solo getting less than half of that. We'll see where this one ends up. I think pretty much everything about this movie is tracking to be a Solo-esque release. People will say, yeah, it was fun. It was fine, yeah, whatever. And that's just not going to make a lot of money. And Solo lost a ton of money, but they, like, remade the entire film and jacked their budget out of control by doing that. That's why I say Prisms, I don't think we're going to see that, like, major reshoot thing again. I think they're just going to eat, yeah, this is a really mid movie. I mean, as much as people hate The Rise of Skywalker, and they should, says Prism, it visually looks stunning and high quality. Some parts do. Overall, I would not call it like an amazingly beautiful movie or something. Some parts are fine, but I mean, Exegol is like one of the worst designs I have ever seen. I thought the entirety of the final space fight was just looked horrible. And I don't like the color grading on the film as a whole. I mean, on my edit, I completely changed that. So everyone can laugh at the end. Oh yeah, because we didn't have to, laugh here or here or here when he jumps on his shoulder, or in the other one when he destroys the droid and then chucks it off the back, and you laugh again because he's like a little petty creature. And I think, what does this thing say at the end? It's like, bad baby or something.
Good shot, baby.
Good shot, baby. Okay. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness, he shot him in the eye with a paintball. I'm okay with like a couple of those moments. Like the kid-friendly, just give me a schlocky joke, but man, it just seems like that's what this entire movie is. It's just going to be this back-to-back-to-back. So, yeah, that would be my trailer breakdown. I'm checking this to see, back when Celebration came out, what was my hype level for The Mandalorian and Grogu. I gave it a 3 out of 10 hype level. I'd keep it there. I wouldn't lower it. I'd keep the same thing. So, logo comparison. Good night, Rorschach. Thanks for dropping in. He thought the trailer was okay. Seems like it would be a fun film. If I was 10 years old, I would like it. Well, yeah, absolutely. 100%. It looks like, it looks like it's going to be fun, simple, shallow, schlocky. That's not what drew me to Star Wars in the first place personally. Even as a kid, I was a fan of the OT for the mature themes and for the life lessons type of thing, not just because it was a fun, schlocky adventure. So that's Star Wars too. And then I grew up with the EU, which gets really dark and serious. The prequels dealt with very intense political themes and war. And soldiers. So kids can handle that. I don't think you have to cater towards treating them like they're 5-year-olds. I think kids can handle a lot more than we give them credit for. There's just been such an infantilization of media towards them. So, and now me as a 29-year-old who does want to see even more mature Star Wars, even more thought out and deeper Star Wars that's connected to the EU. This just doesn't do much for me. So I think it'll just be mid. I'll come out of it. Hey, that was like a 6 out of 10. Okay. Anyways, what EU book was I reading again? That's kind of what I'm expecting. I don't think I'm gonna hate it. It'll be fun. It'll be simple. I'll move on with my life. It won't stay with me like the rest of Star Wars has pre-Disney. Force Awakens was some BS before it came out. Absolutely everyone expected Luke to have some screen time in there, at least at the end. Yeah, I know J.J. Abrams was supposed to do more with him at the end, and then Rian Johnson gave him a script and they cut it all out. He was supposed to have a conversation with Rey and have a bunch of rocks floating around him, and you were supposed to have a few minute conversation that led into a cliffhanger type of thing. And because then Rian Johnson came in and said, no, I'm doing something completely different than what you were going to do with Luke, so I need him to not have the Force at all, so delete all those rocks. There's concept art of that scene that's in the Force Awakens art book and all. So, yep, they messed that one up so bad. I thought The Last Jedi was very good looking. Rise of Skywalker was a mess visually similar to the plot. TFA was just boring. I would agree with those rankings. As far as cinematography and colors and environments, yes, it goes... Oh, man. I would... Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'd probably go 8, 9, 7, actually. Yeah. TFA was just very, very bland. Plot-wise and visually. But the question is, will anyone get fired over this? How is Iger wanting Marvel quality and not pointing fingers at Lucasfilm? Rorschach, I'll get back to that in a second. Rorschach grew up with the sequels. I really appreciate that perspective. I always want to make sure I was a kid as the prequels were coming out, right? Like, that was my 6-year-old through 12-year-old me. So, I was a lot softer on them than most people were. But then I grew up and I said, well, yeah, these movies are good. I still kept that. As I learned, like, critical thinking and storytelling and all that type of stuff, I said, yeah, there's some flaws in the prequels that weren't necessarily in the original trilogy. But I think the overarching plot is really great, and the connections to the previous trilogy are phenomenal and expand on it so much, and to me make the OT even more precious to rewatch. And then the EU was Star Wars to me. To me there was no difference between the EU and the movies. So then, you grow up with that for 20-some years, and then Disney just comes in and says, nope, the Luke you love, your lifelong hero, trash. Here's my version of him. And so, it's just like... I don't know what they expected, honestly. That's what Rian Johnson said he wanted to do, make half the people love it, half the people hate it. Congrats. Mission accomplished, Ryan. TFA, TLJ, and Rogue One is my Star Wars. They have problems, but I can create my own fan edit anytime. Absolutely, you can. That would be cool. I would love to see some of what you would propose as somebody who grew up with the sequels being front and center in the media and what was relevant at the time, culturally relevant, especially with TFA. Yeah, I'd love to see some of your ideas for that. I will take a crazy mess over bland and boring, says Oklahoma. Crazy, yeah, absolutely. I would too. Prism saw episode 9 in cinemas, loved it, but even now that you still enjoy it, you'll tear it. I'll tear it. I like the fights and some ideas, but it's trash. That was my second Star Wars film in theater. First was Solo. Interesting. My first movie in theater was the Clone Wars movie, 2008 Clone Wars. My parents would not let me see any of the Star Wars movies in theaters. As much as I loved it as a kid, I was playing Rogue Squadron at like 5 years old with a joystick. I got home videos of that. So I watched the OT, and then I fell in love with Star Wars and Luke Skywalker and the action figures and the young adult novels, the games. And then the prequels were coming out. I think I was 6 with Phantom Menace. And then even by episode 3, my parents still wouldn't let me see them in theater, so I had to wait for the DVD releases, and then my dad would sit there and forward through the parts he thought were too mature for me. Mainly the ones I remember him skipping were Shmi in episode 2 and Anakin burning in episode 3. So I never saw those in theaters until was that May 2025 when I went and saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters and had one of the greatest theater experiences of my entire life. Easily a top 5 movie I've ever seen in theaters before. Do you have any thoughts on why no one's being fired? You said you'd get back to my comment. Why is no one being fired for the performance of Star Wars? What a question. I think in general, Corpo America is run by a good old boys club. They look out for each other. In some ways, it's very cutthroat, but like when you have these established legacy people, firing Kathleen Kennedy is a huge admission of failure. Everyone in the world would see that and be like, lol. So it's that like lose if you do, lose if you don't type of thing. And the PR around that would have just been horrible. The farther away they get from the sequels, the less direct of a connection there is to those being the cause. Though I think that was the downfall of what was a lot of hype for Disney getting Star Wars. Killing the EU was the first mistake. Why not just push it over to the side? But to actively kill it, horrible. I that's the best guess I have is bad PR. If they start firing very prominent people, they are publicly admitting massive failures. And a lot of these people think in short terms. They're more concerned about their quarterly reports and job hopping than the actual development of a Star Wars plot. So it's just a group of people who want to survive and make bonuses and get a new job with a new industry. You don't have that like alpha male George Lucas storyteller in charge of the general direction. It's just a board of suits that are all looking at their quarterly reports and shareholder meetings. And so that just gridlocks stuff. They're all looking for very short-term profit churning. So that's why they're going down the route of Kathleen's just going to resign. Basically, they want to make it a big celebration. That's why she wants to go off with like a win, as has been reported a lot. That's why I say I know there's been a lot of rumors that like she was going to resign by the end of this year. A lot of people were saying like August, September, October. I don't see that happening like right before the Mandalorian and Grogu. I think they might do it like end of 26 or even after 27 in Starfighter in May. I hope not. I'm ready for a change. But I do think there is a major shift happening inside of Lucasfilm. They're planning for the future. I think they internally recognize the failures, but they don't want to publicize those. And so they're gonna handle things very discreetly on the new transition to power and direction. So I think we're like through the Dark Ages. Well, we're at the tail end of the Dark Ages, I would say. I don't think anyone could argue that this is not the worst place Star Wars has ever been in, like today. And I'm not just saying 100% because of the sequels. Here we are, but just the state of the fan base, the interest from the fan base is at an all-time low. Aside from, I guess you could say, as it was first building up in the 70s and 80s and the EU was developing and it was growing. I tell you, for the people who didn't grow up in that era, go back and look at like the book sales of the EU in the 80s and the 90s. Just astonishing amounts of money was being made in the 90s through the EU. It funded like the entire prequel trilogy because of how much they were selling in books and comics and toys. EU stuff all, which was at that era all based on the OT and expanding post-OT stuff as George was writing the prequels. Like Heir to the Empire made a crazy amount of money. And so just compare like the interest in Star Wars. I mean, the more I'm on social media and just see people's videos and stuff, not even like Star Wars YouTubers, but there's like jokes in other shows of like Star Wars isn't cool anymore, where you were called a dork in the prequel era if you liked Star Wars, but it was like in your dork group it was super cool. Now in the dork groups, Star Wars is nothing. It's like not even talked about. So just overall, it's in a bad place. We are in the Dark Ages. I do have hope that we are in the end of the Dark Ages. We're getting popped with questions. If they fired KK, wouldn't they get more praise though, or do it in a way to send her off politely? Retirement angle. Yeah, I mean, when they decide to do it, she holds a lot of power. She's not an easy person to dispose of. Yeah, as far as workplace politics go. Very difficult person to remove. She's extremely connected, a historic legacy figure in the film industry, honestly, like a legend in Hollywood. So, yeah, just the PR would be horrendous just to offer. They know, everybody there knows that Star Wars brand is not doing well. They know that. Why do you think they took 6 years off from making movies? That's... I mean, that wasn't her plan. She's been canned on her plan. So they are starting this transition into a new vision and a new era of leadership. They just don't want to make it a big public thing. And when they do it, I think they're going to like lower her role or just make like a partial announcement. Hey, Kathleen's had an amazing career. She wants to spend more time with family. She's going to be cutting back her involvement. We're going to bring on like an interim, blah, blah, blah. Or like Filoni and somebody else are going to team up and take over some of her duties for now. And then I think they're going to float in that middle ground for a year or two. And then her name will still be on the credits. She wants to be on the credits of the Rey movie and the Charmin Bedouinoy, whatever, the Rey movie, and probably the Simon Kinberg trilogy. So I think her name will be attached for another 3 to 5 years. But within... I mean, it could happen any day, I guess. That type of peaceful transition could begin anytime soon. What quarterly report the Acolyte had terrible ratings in Rotten Tomatoes, or that Mando and Grogu got bad views and dislikes? Yeah, I'm not saying their quarterly reports have been good. They've been bad. But I'm just saying that's how those people think in general. I mean, they, as far as the Acolyte, they canceled it. That was supposed to be a huge launch of the High Republic era. And the High Republic sales of the books and comics were horrendous. They did so much promo. That was supposed to be like Disney's big thing. And then the Acolyte was supposed to be like, okay, come in and rescue this thing that's the sinking ship with, a really high budget show. And they gave her a crazy amount of money. Headland. And they tried to promo that thing a lot. And, now it's known as pretty unanimously, I think, would be voted the worst thing Star Wars ever made, aside from maybe like the holiday special. But yeah, I think that thing is more universally disliked than the sequel trilogy as a whole. So yeah, they put the blame on her basically and canceled all of her future productions for Star Wars. She'll never touch Star Wars again. They canceled Rian Johnson's trilogy. It's not getting put on the higher ups who allowed those people to do those things. It's just getting put on those people directly, which, yeah, that's a mistake, but that's how Hollywood rolls. Find somebody else to point the finger at. And, now you've done that for 10 years in Star Wars, and here we are in the Dark Ages. To be positive, Kathleen did keep her promise, and Starfighter is actually filming. And hey, the upcoming slate looks cool. Maul and Ahsoka. Yeah. we've had this long reset period, and I think that just points to that. That transition is beginning. They know internally what they're going to do with her already. Rey film seems to lightly have been... Yeah, the Rey film is a mess. I don't even think they finished the script for that yet. They had one. It got rejected. They, like, gave it to a new director. And that there's, like... It's kind of confusing because they're saying the Simon Kinberg trilogy is going to be, like, episode 10, 11, 12 and connect to Rey, but then there's, like, the Charmine Rey movie or whatever, but then somebody else was writing a script. It's like... they don't know what they want to do with that, and they're not getting good stuff and good feedback internally about it. So that's why you're not hearing anything. Do I still want that and Dawn of the Jedi? No, I want the Rey movie to disappear forever. I want Dawn of the Jedi to either follow the Dawn of the Jedi comics. Since you're taking the name of the comics, why not do the comics? I'd personally do them as a trilogy. Rather than 10, 11, 12, let's do a Dawn of the Jedi and follow the novel and follow the comics. What a great idea, huh? So, I am excited for Dawn of the Jedi if they're going to respect the EU. I am loathing Dawn of the Jedi if they are going to try and do their own thing and steal a couple ideas from the EU. Do it right or don't do it at all. Didn't your parents teach you that too? Still find this Kathleen Kennedy quote from Deadline surreal. I have never been an executive before. I'm a filmmaker through and through. I've even approached the executive role as a filmmaker. Yeah, that is pretty surreal. She definitely was not the right person for the job. And I know George Lucas had a huge hand in getting her into that spot. He made a mistake. He's made mistakes before, and this was one. And, I mean, just from the beginning of her and Iger, like, conspiring to trash his scripts, like, she just... I think in her mind, she wanted to be considered better than George. You know, a lot of people were, like, freaked out over the initial prequels backlash and drama, and they ran away from George. A lot of people treated George really poorly in Hollywood, especially because he was never a Hollywood guy. I mean, George is the definition of just a rogue, right? He was uncontrollable in Hollywood, which people hate in Hollywood. So he was generally considered like brash and contentious and rude. And then, when they have a chance to mock him and point at the outsider who's not in the system, they did it. It affected him a lot mentally. He got offered by a lot of companies to like fund his Star Wars and had their, big production name on the prequel trilogy. But then they would have had control over some of the story, and he didn't want it. He rejected it. He just took his own money and he did it. Okay, logo comparison. The old one's better. I don't like this new one. Does it fit into the vibe more and the marketing more now? Yeah, okay. I mean, it's going to look better on this poster than that logo would look on this poster. But in a way, I like this type of, pulpy 50s, 60s comic book type of thing. It's more just that, like, I'm not seeing great stuff out of the movie itself. So this kind of just feels like, paint over a really rusty vehicle that's just going to strip and decay again. So, yes, it works on this poster. I don't think it works, like, here. That's, like, modern with throwback. It's kind of jarring. Especially that trailer, like, it was just, like, curving up. It's weird. If you look at like graphic designers talking about it, a lot of people are critiquing it too, just on basic graphic design stuff. It's just very, very simple and corny, which I mean seems to be the direction of the film. So that's why I'm saying, yeah, it fits the vibe of the film, I guess, but I'm not excited for the film itself. So it's not doing anything to like make me more excited about it. Starring Grogu as himself. I mean, this is like such old school stuff. I think here you get to see the Razor Crest will have the stripes on top in addition to the side. I don't know what this creature is here. That was something that hasn't been shown. And then the Hutt twins. Am I happy they're in it? I think they'll have a very small role in it with just like Rada in the Gladiator arena. They were just so underutilized in the Book of Boba Fett and built up to do absolutely nothing. So I think they're more just going to be in there like to show Hutt power. Oh, Hutts are here. Let's use some recognizable ones. Here they are. Remember these guys from Book of Boba? Go watch Book of Boba. Please boost my Disney Plus numbers. You know, I think that's kind of all that is. I hope they get developed more that somehow could make them more impactful in the Book of Boba Fett or Boba Fett's future storyline. Disappointed Tamora Morrison isn't in this movie. And then also on this, I don't like how Din and Grogu are both on this 3 times. Din, Din, Din. Grogu, Grogu, Grogu. That's really odd. It's odd for a comic, and it's odd for a movie. Like that's just throwing me off. Let me pull up an example. You know, so what it's replicating is like this style, like this art style, this like, you know, John Carter, John Hunter of the Marsmen type of stuff, but it's too much. You know, like you've got too many characters on it, and you've got the same two different characters on it 3 times separately. It's just like, what are you, like these old comic covers? And this is stuff that really inspired George Lucas. So that's why I say, like, I mean, I appreciate, like, paying homage to this stuff. I just don't think it was executed too well. You see, like, these are, I don't know. You don't have the same character 3 times on any of these. It's just a very weird thing. So, there you go. Well, I guess oh yeah, I gotta cover the plot leaks too. The announcement post, super generic. It's like they just took the trailer and uploaded it to AI and said, give me a summary. This was the main thing I saw that's just bizarre. The Mandalorian Zeb Orrelios is back. Featured in poster art that also includes Sigourney Weaver's new character and a pair of Hutts. Okay, that's the twins. Call them the twins if they're characters you made. And then how is the Mandalorian getting ownership of Zeb Orrelios? He's in it for like 5 to 10 seconds, and you're calling him a character from the Mandalorian. Like you're claiming ownership of him. The heck? Why not, like, you know, featured in Dave Filoni's Rebels, Zeb Orrelios is back in live action. Something like that. Like, I don't know. That was, like, offensive to me. Alright, and then the last thing, people are like, again, I kind of talked about the Cade Skywalker stuff with this. They're just speculating from this picture. The speculation is like, oh, what is this, Camino? Is this Manon? Is this Octo? Like, what planet? I don't know. What are you going to take away from this picture? They're on a skiff, and Ryan Gosling is mogging you. I think he would have a great visual appearance of Cade. I just don't want them to do it inside the Disney timeline if they're going to do it. Go do a real Cade. So I don't know. People are doing crazy speculation on this. I'm like, it's like a behind the scenes picture, guys. I like speculation though, and I'm not blaming them, but they're coming up with some crazy theories about this. Okay, I am now going to enter. Warning, 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 warning. I am now going to enter. No. Pause. We're almost going to enter. I wanted to show these two tweets that I've seen pop up. People have sent just in response to it. So I agree with this. If it's one thing that Disney has been historically great at, it is marketing a movie like an old-timey throwback and getting absolutely nobody to show up. Glad to see they're still at it. And just give some examples of the number of times Disney has tried to do this like throwback marketing, and it doesn't put butts in seats. So that's why a lot of this I'm just saying, like, I don't know what they expect for any of this. Like the premise, the marketing. Are they really satisfied with like breaking even at best? Is that where we're at? Like they're just like, please break even, please break even. That's sad if that's what it's at. But I don't know. They're trying a failed pattern, I think. And then this one made me laugh too. Hard to put a finer symbolic point on it than this. Marvel and Star Wars are both gearing up to tell their respective fandoms that we've heard your concerns about the perceived uncertain direction of this brand, and we are preparing to throw a magic baby at the problem. Right? I mean, that one made me laugh. Because that is absolutely what they're doing with the Mando and Grogu. They're just throwing a baby at it. A little magic baby. Okay, well, I think last thing to cover here. This is where the plot leaks are going to come in, so please tune out if you want to go in only with official promo. This has been out for a while, though, so you might have heard rumors anyways. Embo is to be featured as the main villain. I think that is the main part of the plot we are missing, is that Embo will be featured as like the antagonist chasing them to get Rada back from them, or hired by someone else, possibly the Empire, to capture Rada at the same time they're trying to free Rada. It's like the Empire is involved in a plot where they want Rada to have power over the Hutts. Oh yeah, it's funny. A magic baby and Pedro Pascal in both instances. Yeah, good catch. Jungle Cruise also had that retro marketing. How did Jungle Cruise do in the box office? That did $221 million worldwide, with a publicized budget of $200 million. So yeah, that lost money. The break-even point was said to be $500 million. That's why people like do analysis of like the public budget numbers. Those are never real. Like you can always double that at a minimum. So that's why I was saying, like, Grogu, I think, says Mandalorian and Grogu budget. Okay, there's been reports like I've seen up to 170 million is what's being reported. 166 before the tax cuts. Oh, that one's 166 with the tax cuts included. So that's why I'm saying you can pretty much say with the real production cost plus marketing, you're at least 320 million, if not pushing into the fours. So, and I was saying, I think this movie will do probably around 5. I could see it going under 5. My guess would be between 450 and 550. So I think it will be barely profitable, basically break even. But yeah, there's just no reason to think it's going to be a massive financial success. None at all. Okay, so yeah, Embo has been rumored to be part of the antagonist crew. This was reported in January, before any of the stuff I'm talking about was shown. And this has, everything in here that we have seen has been proven true. There's like nothing in this that has been false. Man, I mean, I read the entire start to finish Rise of Skywalker plot months before the movie came out. I thought it was fake. It was just like almost scene for scene exact. So I really tend to believe this stuff is true. So yeah, playing a similar story as the Clone Wars, where Rada was kidnapped and a baby, is now he has to be rescued. Now he's an adult, he's a gladiator. Din Djarin and Grogu are hired to rescue him. On the flip side, Embo, the main villain, has been hired to kill him. So you've got this like, kind of cat and mouse type of thing going on from two different groups after the same mouse almost. Embo is hired by some Hutts, possibly the two featured in the Book of Boba Fett. Well, what do you know? There they are. Right there on the poster. Right there in the announcement. A pair of Hutts. Heard conflicting things on who hired Din. I was once told that the Hutts hired Din, and another time I was told it was the Republic. Don't know which one is correct. But apparently Zeb does assist Din in this quest, which could point to the truth of Din being hired by the Republic, but that's mostly speculation. So, like, everything in this has been accurate, so I have no reason to believe Embo isn't the main villain of the movie. I think that there haven't been like huge plot leaks other than that to fill in some of those gaps, but yeah, so I think that's going to be the plot of the movie. Cold open into getting hired for the Rada job. We see Embo getting hired on the other side, or maybe Embo appears suddenly in the gladiator arena. They go there. The main thing I'm unsure about is this section, this like Nar Shaddaa thing in this cantina. Not sure how this connects. This might be in those underground tunnels, honestly. Like, I could see this thing popping up and scaring Grogu and they like run away. That might be all that is. But it's going to be a back and forth plot between Din as a Republic agent doing this mission to get Rada away from the danger. Everybody wants to be in the good graces of the Hutts. The Empire wants to control them. The Hutts want their own power. The Republic just, wants a stable outer rim as best as possible and not to upset the Hutts. So they want to, whoever wants Rada, they want to get him out of there. So that's going to be the movie. I assume there will be some unknown cameo at some point. Maybe like a hint towards the Heir to the Empire movie, perhaps. And then we'll await Ahsoka Season 2 to move any of this forward. So I don't think anything really about the state of the galaxy is going to change too much, unless, like, I could see some Hutt involvement being in the Heir to the Empire movie, but I don't think it will be significant if it's there. So I think just this will have some very loose tie-ins to the future productions of Star Wars. And that's going to be about it. It's going to be a simple, fun, shallow movie. That's what I'm getting from it. There we go. So that concludes my trailer breakdown. The Way of Mandalore Book 6. It's looking great. Can't wait to share this thing. We're still on track for a nice October release. So, there we go. I'll be back at touching this thing up through the rest of the week. Probably will do most of it off stream at this point. Wasn't planning on streaming tonight, but, with the trailer, I thought, hey, I'll tackle some of this, give my thoughts on it, since I have dedicated the last 3+ years of my life to the story of the Mandalorian. I've got some thoughts. You ask me what do I wish would have happened? I think the Return to Mandalore plot, the idea was great for a season 3. The apostate thing, into a Return to Mandalore would have been great. You know, I've voiced many times, Grogu should not have been there for any of that. I would have kept them separate, and we see Luke training Grogu, even like taking him on little adventures around the galaxy. You know, think how Game of Thrones did it. Like, they built up Daenerys as they were following, you know, the Starks and the rest of the North and stuff. But you had this, like, really disconnected storyline for a while, and then, poof, it ties in very heavily. Kind of the same thing. Like rock a whole season showing their completely separate journeys. Then let's bring them back in the movie and, you know, maybe have like a big Battle of Mandalore type of thing in that one. Or start to tie in a little more to the Heir to the Empire. Something. So, anyways, here we are. I think this will be your favorite Mandalorian release of the next year. I will absolutely handle the Mandalorian and Grogu movie in the Way of Mandalore style in some way or form. I will get back to that no matter what else I'm working on by that point next year. You know, by the time the Blu-ray comes out, it's going to be a year from today, probably. So 8 months to the movie, probably, 3 months, 3-4 months until the footage is out. So, will they neglect the Heir to the Empire plot if this bombs? No. I do not expect that at all. I think they are, from the stuff I have read, they are all in banking on Heir to the Empire. And they've said they think it will... Like, they've heard really good stuff about it, and that even old school fans are going to be happy with it. Do they know what that means? Do they actually know what old school fans would be happy with? I don't think so. I think by that they just mean, yeah, like, Luke will be in it occasionally, and he will be akin to the Luke you remember from the EU. I don't think it's going to actually be, like, the real storyline of Heir to the Empire. I mean, you've got Ahsoka as a main character and Ezra and stuff, so it can't be. I don't want them to just give Luke's storyline to Ahsoka, though. That would be sad. But I have more hope in that project than anything else Star Wars is doing right now. For what I think Star Wars needs to do to heal the divide, I think Heir to the Empire has the best chance to do it out of anything they've announced by far. So, and I think Lucasfilm wants to play this, like, middle ground of, hey, let's, like, do a somewhat faithful Heir to the Empire storyline to bring the old EU fans back in, and then, you know, we'll turn it into a trilogy or something, and, you know, now we're leading into the sequels, and maybe we can kind of get them to like the sequels a little bit more, so that they'll want to watch episode 10, 11, and 12 and the Rey movie. So I think that's the route that they want to go. They're trying to do something to bring the EU fans back and to get them interested in the Disney sequels. So there we go. I want to work on one scene tonight. See if anybody has any ideas. My brain's starting to get tired, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish this. This is the final battle with Moff Gideon. Like I said, there's so much blank space, and it looks like he's talking here, but he just doesn't. So he does the same thing later, or he says something that makes no sense. So I replaced the dialogue there, but I need like one more voice line from him here to add in to complete the scene, I think. And I haven't like put a ton of thought into what I should have him say. So it's the thing that it's the Satine name drop. You fight like your sister Satine, like a pacifist, and that's what triggers her to scream and sprint at him. But I need something. Okay, he's like kind of kicking her ass for a little bit. throws her again. So he's like cocky. He's confident. He's winning this battle. He could beat her one-on-one at this point. So what's like the first thing he should say to her before this Satine comment? You know, it can even be as simple as like, ha ha ha. Is this what Mandalorians are made of? Just something like taunting and a little bit degrading type of thing. And then he leads into the personal attack of you fight like your sister Satine. So, trying to think of some ideas I could roll for that voice line. You fight like your sister Satine. So he smashes her, and then we'll start talking like here. My initial thought is like you call yourself Mandalore, but I already have a Mandalore insult later, so I don't want to double down on that. So that's why I'm like, maybe this one can just be something generic. Ha ha ha. Let me think. I need to be short and sweet, kind of. Get my 11 labs, see if I can record this. Ni taili din yr bwyr, gwrw taili ni dwynwi. Where are ya? Dark Trooper Gideon. Think. What about ha ha ha? Yeah, okay, I got an idea. What if I go, okay, get me on the good model. Let's go taunting, ha ha ha. It seems history repeats itself. Bo-Katan. You can never hold onto the throne for long. Let's give that a shot.
It seems history repeats itself, Bo-Katan. You can never hold on to the throne for long.
I forgot to put this. That was a pretty good take. I forgot to put the stupid ending word so it doesn't cut off so abruptly.
It seems history repeats itself, Bo-Katan. You can never hold on to the throne for long.
The first one was a little better.
It seems history repeats itself, Bo-Katan. You can never hold on to the throne for long. You can never hold on to the throne for long.
I might just use that one. Is that delivery better than the other one?
You can never hold on to the throne for long.
Yeah, that one's better.
It seems history repeats itself, Bo-Katan. You can never hold on to the throne for long.
I think between the first two I have that. I kind of like this. See how it fits the vibe, though. So that line will start like, what? I mean, you can start laughing, like here. Oh, did I flip those?
You can never hold on to the throne for long.
I think I flipped those accidentally. Dun, 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 dun.
It seems history repeats itself, Bo-Katan.
I like that.
It seems history repeats itself, Bo-Katan. You can never hold on to the throne for long. You.
I don't need the second laugh now.
It seems history repeats itself, Bo-Katan. You can never hold on to the throne for long.
Let's move this one back just a tad.
You can never hold on to the throne for long. You fight like your sister Satine. Like a pacifist.
I like it. I think that's the line. I think that's kind of what I was looking for. That was cool. I was a fan of that. Any feedback? Sukui Orek. Calling me master. Apprentice Orek. I take you as my apprentice. Can't stay today. Just want to come by and tell you how criffing awesome you are and how carking beautiful your project is. Aw, Fear Feck, man. Thank you. Appreciate your support. I can't wait to show you this movie. If you didn't see this clip, I'll play it one more time that I'm working on. New lines for Gideon.
It seems history repeats itself, Bo-Katan. You can never hold on to the throne for long. You fight like your sister Satine. Like a pacifist.
Nice. A couple audio pops there. I can just fade around, cover those up. Easy, easy. Is there a way? Does anyone know? Is there a way to change like the default transition duration? I should look that up. That could be helpful. So I am constantly. It does it way too long for everything I need.
The throne for long. You fight like your sister Satine.
And there we go. I think that should get rid of those audio pops.
Onto the throne for long. You fight like your sister Satine. Like a pacifist.
See, it's just like kicking her butt.
The dark saber is destroyed. What will you do now? Mandalore. The clans will scatter. And you'll be alone.
Okay, I want to move that line was a little too close.
Neighbor is destroyed. What will you do now, Mandalore? The clans will scatter, and you'll be alone. Again.
Mandalorians are stronger together.
Mandalorians are...
Oh, sound error.
Mandalorians are...
Heck yeah! Gosh, freaking sound. Dun, 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 dun. See that? Dude, this is sick. Okay, really the last thing I know I need to do is the Rancor sound effects. I was having a lot of trouble working on that the other night. Mostly just hardware complications. Oryx, ha 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 ha. I will agree to the Padawan status if you ever beat me in Star Wars trivia. And not until then. I am 100% down for that challenge. I'll duel you for master status. What kind of trivia do you want? Movie trivia? EU trivia? That would be fun. I'll live stream that if you ever want to do something. That'd be cool. Yeah, reach out. Find like a trivia question or something that you want. Maybe I could buy like that'd be kind of a fun stream. If I got like a few of us on here and we played like Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. That would be fun. I think they made a new one too, I think. Yeah, this one. They've got the Black Series one that's got some of the Disney stuff in it too. If you want to be fair to the youngsters. The One Canon Trivia. I'll Google your email and contact you. Sweet. My email is acbagel@gmail.com. It's that simple. Yeah, let's talk. That'll be fun. We'll do a little trivia night sometime. That'll be good since I'm not going to be editing as much on the streams as I finish this. Cool. I'm going to wrap this up as well. I know you got to go, and my voice is tired. I need to eat some chicken breast for protein after my lift, so thanks for talking Mando with me, everybody. Yeah, I'll get to finishing this movie, getting it in your hands as fast as possible. It is a priority. Appreciate everybody who dropped by. Here we go. My leaders. Top fans for tonight. Hardwick. First place tied with Prisms. Alphabetical. If you want to be on the top, change your name to something higher. A. Warshak, Punklahoma, Mimas Marv, Orek, Shoya. Thanks for all dropping by to say something. Appreciate all of you. Catch you soon. But until then...